Today, we'll look at unbelievably beautiful places that have been abandoned and some of their unique features. Why do you think people avoid living in such areas? Drop your comments below. I've noticed that most of you watching this aren't subscribed, so if you like this video, please consider subscribing. It's absolutely free and you can always change your mind later. And with that said, enjoy the video. Number 10. The Initiation Well, Portugal. If you have never been to a place where what's above corresponds to what is below and vice versa, then you have to plan a visit to this favorite place. This 88-foot deep well is situated in Quinta da Regaleira near the town of Sintra, Portugal. You will even be shocked to know that the wells were not intended to serve the purpose of a typical well, rather they were built specifically for personal ritual purposes. A wealthy Portuguese businessman, Antonio Augusto Carvalho Monteiro, who was a renowned Freemason, was the owner of this place. With the help of Italian architect Luigi Manini, he designed and built a 4-hectare site with a mysterious building, a mysterious park, and an underground tunnel. Built in 1904, in 6 years, the pearl of this property is undoubtedly a castle. The magnificent mansion is 5 stories high and has a Gothic facade carved and decorated with gargoyles and other Gothic ornaments. After the death of Carvalho Monteiro, the place was acquired by Valdemardli. The family owned it until it was sold to a Japanese company in 1987. They kept the property away from the general public for 10 years. Municipalities acquired the property in 1997, and after restoration, it was opened to the public in 1998. In a sense, the starting well is also the entrance to the underground maze. It is connected to other entries by a series of underground passages. The initiation well has a striking spiral staircase supported by carved columns that lead down to the bottom of the well through its 9 landings. It is believed that the spacing of these landings and the number of steps in between are linked to tarot mysticism and Masonic principles. But despite all the magnificent look of the initiation well, the place has been abandoned and Mother Nature has taken over. Number 9. Mothball Fleet, California. What do you do with old military ships? Of course, they are not sold out to other small countries as we do with used cars. In California, you'll be surprised that such battleships are anchored side by side off the coast of San Francisco. Most of them are decades old. Their rust-streaked grey hulls are a sight to behold. Much of the paint on their walls have faded or chipped away. Their decks are strangely empty, with no modern equipment or seamen. They appear deserted, and on a cloudy day, perhaps even haunted. The Suisun Bay Reserve Fleet is the official name for the Ghost Fleet, often known as the Mothball Fleet. And this is where the Army stores ships that have been retired from service but may be needed again in the future. Initially, the place was dotted with over 300 ships, but today about 10 ships remain anchored to the coast. Probably nature took its course and most of them were ripped to pieces. Number 8. Power Plant, Belgium. If you wonder how a large company worth millions of dollars could be easily abandoned, you'll be surprised to learn about this abandoned power plant in Belgium. This power station is found in the Belgian town of Charleroi-Monceau-sur-Sambre area. This power plant was completed in 1921. When it was completed, it was one of Belgium's largest coal-fired power plants. Water would be pumped into the cooling tower where it would be cooled by the wind before being pumped to cool the mines below. This would result in huge smoke billowing up through the vents and smog up the surrounding area. And even though the plant produced massive power to the entirety of Belgium, it was sadly closed down after a survey revealed that the power plant was responsible for 10% of Belgium's total carbon emissions. The place is now abandoned and it continues to rust out day by day. Number 7. Winchester Mystery House, California. Though the film Winchester is terrifying, the true story of the Winchester Mystery House and Sarah Winchester is far more terrifying. Despite the lack of a plan, no official blueprints were drawn out, no architectural vision was developed, a once unfinished house began to take shape on a comprehensive site in the center of San Jose, California. Staircases ascended several levels before abruptly stopping. Doorways opened to blank walls and corners rounded to dead ends on the inside. It is believed that the owner, Sarah Winchester, decided to keep building the house with such a mysterious plan due to wanting to escape from the spirits haunting her family. The construction crew kept working for 36 years until her death. By the time of her death, a total of 160 rooms with 10,000 windows and 2 basements had already been constructed. I honestly think it's terrifying touring such an abandoned place. Number 6. Centralia, Pennsylvania. Would you possibly live in a place where the fire continues to burn underground? Well, I guess none of you can do it, and that is the reason why this mining city of Centralia was abandoned. Centralia was once a small, busy mining city that was populated by miners. Sadly, miners were burning garbage outside of one of the mine's entrances when a small coal fire ignited. And to date, that small fire has continued to burn the coal underground, and even after 50 years, the fire continues to burn and shows no sign of stopping. All attempts to stop the fire, including firefighters moved to flush out the fire using wet gravels, have failed. Today, Centralia remains abandoned, sitting above a maze of dip and winding tunnels. Even though mining stopped in the area, scientists have estimated that the fire will continue to burn for some 250 years to come. Indeed, Centralia remains like a real ghost town, with driveways leading to empty lots and paved streets cracking open like baked bread. And still, some sections emit sulfurous gas into the air. Such a dangerous place to live. Number 5. Balaklava Submarine Base, Crimea. The Balaklava is an underground submarine base in Balaklava Bay in Ukraine's Crimea region, built as a top-secret military installation during the Cold War. The Balaklava Bay is one of the most fought-over areas along the dividing line between East and West. The building, which is hidden under a 400 feet thick level rock, is considered one of the world's largest secret military objects. And even though it was hidden, today it is open to the public as one of the most fascinating museums in the world. It took nearly 4 years for the military to construct the Balaklava submarine bay. It features a base known as Object 825, which was used to house a fleet of USSR submarines that were purposefully used as a backup. It also has a windy outlet that leads to the entrance that is located underwater and nearly undetectable to people on land. The bay was in use until 1996, when the USSR government fell and the site got abandoned. Number 4. Aircraft Boneyard, Arizona. If you drive along South Kolb Road in Tucson, Arizona, you'll notice that the residences give way to a far more odd sight. Rows of military airplanes spread out beneath the scorching desert heat, calm and silent. This is Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. Featuring over 4,000 aircraft spread out over roughly 2,600 acres, this Air Force facility is not your ordinary military installation. From massive cargo lifters to lumbering bombers, Hercules freighters, and the F-14 Tomcat fighters made famous in Top Gun, Davis-Monthan Air Force Base is indeed worth visiting. A visit to this site reveals an expanse of abandoned planes neatly organized in rows depending on the type. These planes lie here waiting to be called to service. Though they may seem deserted, they are kept in a condition that will ensure they remain safe to use whenever they are called to service. Number 3. MAUNSELL Forts, United Kingdom. The United Kingdom has several sites that will remind you of the World War, but none brings out the true picture of World War other than MAUNSELL Forts. Located in the Thames estuary, MAUNSELL Forts was specifically designed to protect the United Kingdom from bombs. But with the war long gone, these structures now lie abandoned, decaying in the sea. The strong structures were used as army bases. On the other hand, the surviving forts were used as pirate radio stations for renegade DJs broadcasting without licenses. The site can now only be accessed by boat, but you can still get stunning views of the site from Shoeburyness East Beach. Number 2. Eastern State Penitentiary, Pennsylvania. The Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia is not just one of the city's most famous historical attractions. It's also a shining example of how tourism can be used to protect endangered places and educate the public. Nearly 250,000 people visit the site each year, and exhibitions detailing the institution's history, including interviews with inmates and guards, coexist with displays about prison reform and yearly art pieces. There's even a famous haunted house attraction in the fall. It's easy to forget that the structure was once in ruins and on the verge of collapse, and to take for granted all of the strenuous efforts that went into restoring it to public use. As Philadelphia's population grew, the prison became overcrowded, and by the 1920s, 2,000 inmates were housed in a space built for only 300. Eastern State fell into ruin when newer prisons were erected to accommodate a large number of prisoners. The site was closed in 1970 and left to degrade for about 2 decades. Number 1. Pripyat Amusement Park, Ukraine. Pripyat Amusement Park was a perfect vacation site, but sadly it only served its purpose once before it was closed. The park operated just a single day and was rendered useless after a nuclear melt happened and a dangerous level of radiation was released into the atmosphere. The residents reported various side effects, including headaches and a metal taste in their mouth. The government evacuated all the people from the area, which was home to over 50,000 people. Today, Pripyat Amusement Park now sits idle, with rusting metals on the merry-go-round and decaying wooden floors. So that was it for today, guys. If you enjoyed watching this video, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe.